this is Mr. G, and today was our very first Coffee with Mr. G. And if you missed it, I thought it would be helpful to kind of videotape at least one aspect of our discussion this morning so that you can be updated on some of the campus beautification and improvement projects that we had talked about last year and how some of that has changed as the church has decided to move over to the Baseline campus. It's important to remember that all growth equals change. We believe that the church's move to Baseline is the right decision at the right time. And we're already seeing the benefits and mutual blessings of this partnership as we move forward with various projects. So I hope you enjoy the videotape, and hey, join us next time. Here's a great quote to teachers or people pilots, wherever. The quote is by Eric Hoffer. He was an technology education futurist, and he said, "Learners inherit the earth. Those unwilling to change will find themselves wonderfully equipped to teach in a world that no longer exists." Those are called dinosaurs. Why do we spend the money to have smartboard technology? Why do we spend the money to have iPads in this classroom? We're not change for change that, just say we have them, because this is the way kids prefer to learn. And that's why we're working through an e-reader policy. Shouldn't the kids be able to bring an e-reader to school and read books? And we might not have the best policy for it yet, but it gets changed. You kind of feel your way. It's new territory. There's no roadmap, but I think we're going out there as paradigm pioneers saying, "Hey, it's safe out here. We'll figure it out, right?" And so it's they've got to play the new game with the new plays. Okay. Things that we were trying to accomplish for the renovations and construction, we had every hope and intention that we finished before she started. Phyllis and I, we did our best. Things have just take longer sometimes, and so here we are. So we couldn't change the rate of change. So at some point, you just have to say, this is the pace I have to accept. It was a bird, a Canadian bird, and this bird decided that it wasn't going to fly south for the winter. Said, why do I make that 5,000-mile trek, every year? I'm just not going to do it. But that bird had never been in Canada in the winter before. And so, it started getting colder, leaves are changing, and then the first snow comes, and it's a big snowstorm. It's a blizzard, and this bird is freezing, and it realizes it's a big mistake. So I need to head south quick. So it takes to flight, and as it's flying, its wings are icing up, and the snow's pelting, he's losing altitude, and he realizes he's just not going to make it. And so he's kind of frozen, he's kind of gliding, he sees a barn, and he kind of glides in for a landing inside the barn. Shaking and shivering, he says, this is the end. About that time, a cow walks over the top of the bird and drops a plop on it. And the bird thinks to himself, wow, here I am, freezing to death in the middle of a Canadian snowstorm, and now this. But he realized, wait a minute, it's kind of warm. And he starts to kind of wiggle a little bit. He's starting to fall out. And he says, hey, I think I'm going to make it. And so he starts chirping because he's happy. And about that time, the barnyard cat sees this clump. Here's this bird tweeting and sees the clump moving. So he's curious and goes over and cleans off the bird and kills it. 3 morals to the story. Not everybody who drops a plop on you is your enemy. Not everybody who cleans you off is your friend. And number 3, if someone happens to drop a plop on you, you might want to just keep quiet about it. And so my goal today was to talk to you a little bit about those changes, and also connect it to a little bit to our fundraising we did last year, and just some basic things that are kind of happening at the beginning of years, and of course you can talk about whatever you want to talk about. I'd like to just give you some updates. Remember when we did our fundraising last year, we had 4 or 5 key goals heading into our 50th anniversary. And those goals were get a new sign out front. It was to do something, put an arbor in the plaza. It was to renovate the lobby, get iPads for our classrooms, And there was a few other like miscellaneous things, fine arts and this and that, but then, and also what kind of came onto our agenda middle of the year was safety and security issues after the Sandy Hook shootings. And so we knew we would not have enough money to do all of those. And so we had in our minds, and I think we probably articulated this, we had the idea was we do sign first and the arbor and the iPads. We thought we would have enough to do that. And then we would kind of, we got started on the technology, the lobby, we did the technology well. We kind of started on that back in December with the ideas and the plans. And we just kind of moved forward. It didn't get done until the summer, but it's in place now. So we thought we could at least do that piece of the lobby. And so those were the plans. So what do you do with that? And where do we stand? We bought iPads for the classroom. Okay, that's about a $20,000 purchase because we got 30 iPads, that way we always have enough, and if something's not working, we're always good there. And that was about $17,000 there. And then we got a security card. It wasn't cheap, and it also has the ability to charge and all the iPads at the same time. And if we load software onto any one, it loads it onto all of them at the same time. That's about $3,000 project. So it was about $20,000 project. So we did the iPads. And we also, and by the way, we knew we couldn't do some things, and so we decided we made some adjustments. The arbor was the next. And we had the idea of, and we had an artist rendering that wouldn't have been exactly like that, but it was just something to give us a visual to shoot for. Well, when the church back in the spring, about the time we were getting plans for this, decided their growth is so significant over there, and they already have free services. They got people sitting out in the lobby and other places in overflows to accommodate. They realized we have to go somewhere and do something. And they checked, could we go to a warehouse and we do all those things. And so it became clear. By the way, they've been having this discussion for 2 years. They saw it coming. And they were doing something. They visited churches, they visited places where, how are you doing it? We went church and school down to a church in North County, San Diego. How are they doing it? So this has been something we saw coming on the horizon. But in the end, it seemed wise to us that we've got a gym city and has the capacity to hold more. And for those of you who are newer to the organization, we did church in that gym for 18 years. When Pastor Chris came, he said, we've got 125 people in there on a Sunday, total, back when he first got here. And it was cavernous. And the sound system wasn't even good, and a lot of issues that just didn't make it an effective environment for church. He said, what are we doing? We fit over in the sanctuary ground. Why don't we go over there, fix that up a little bit, and kind of build it, And the timing, think about this, I'm just going to be transparent, the timing of this, as the church began to grow, this is 2008. The economy hit. The school began to shrink because we were losing enrollment during those tough times. And so what was happening is, as the school needed to stretch its legs and expand, they needed more rooms and stuff. Well, prior to Pastor Chris's arrival, we had taken over that Grand Avenue campus. I mean, every nook and cranny was being used in some way by the school. And so we just took over. Well, as the church moved over, and we had shared facilities, and as their needs grew, our school was shrinking, and it just was working perfect. And then at one point we said, it would be more cost effective if we were all on the same campus. And we found that bigger is better, and we love being on the same campus. We knew that it would cap the size of our school, but we were comfortable. And we feel that was God's timing, we felt it was the right decision, and now the church, here we are again in another phase. The church is growing, and so here we're back to where we were before, doing church, except this time, they're going to do it right. The church will have spent, when they're done, will have spent about $500,000 on renovations on this campus. The biggest part of that is a brand new sound system. They put all new lights in the gym. You probably don't notice it so much, but they will have on Sundays, and when we have banquets, there's a wonderful partnership benefit, mutual benefit because of this thing. So the lights there now that they have, so they won't use the fluorescents. They'll put the ones that are dimmable. So when we have a banquet in there, or we have a program, we can dim those lights. They're having, the curtains aren't in yet, but out in front of the goal post, basketball goals, will be curtains that drop from the ceiling. They have lights. If you go in and look where the side of the volleyball lines are, out in front of the basketball goals, and that you look up and you see that's where the curtains go. So they can kind of have a nice, it's a black curtain. Floor, I think the top third of it will be clear, the bottom half will be material. But they've got lights, if you look, LED lights that will splash down. They didn't have to do this. They've already fixed the lighting. The front of the stage is going to be incredible, which we'll have access to, and I'll explain that in a second. But it's just so good, they considered everything. They got the LED lights, they can splash any color they want on those black curtains. I don't think they have to do that, but they did. The front of the stage is, well, we're getting rid of those carpeted things. Those have seen a better day. So we're getting rid of those carpeted, stage extensions. And they're going to put up, really good extensions. So it'll be a small rough stage out in front. And then on the weekends when we set it up, they will expand that stage out. But they're putting a brand new curtain for us. They're going to do all of this. They're going to clean. That curtain, has anybody went to play last year when the curtain got stuck? It was not more than one play and that happened. We were like, what do you do?
Really well, though.
Pardon me?
They handled
They
it
really
well.
did, yeah. I think they were well coached. So anyway, the church is putting in a brand new curtain for us. And then they're going to have a giant screen. And the other thing we did is they raised the ceiling of that stage, which was really helpful. Again, they're paying for all this. It was really helpful because now we have access to higher ceiling line in there. And they're putting a projection unit. They're going to have a big screen behind the musicians, the worship team. And that back projection, which we can use for, is really good. They can project up there, not words. There's two large screens on the side for that by the speaker base. They're going to be able to project just atmosphere, mood. They can put colors, like fall colors. They can do a fall scene. You could be in Maine. They can stand in front of a country road in Maine. They can create stained glass windows in a picture that gives it three dimension into a garden or a waterfall. So it's really good, and we're thinking even, can we back project onto that to create some sets and scene changes? And we have access to all of this. Now, their sound system is really top of the line. And I really don't want to mess. I want junior high kids up there during chapel playing with their sound system. I mean, the one they had at Grand is pretty good. We'll keep that over there. But they can hit a button and say, this is a typical Sunday morning worship. All the levels go back to the pre-program. We have purchased, this is how we use some money because we felt, our sound system is not being good. We rent, every time we have a play, we rent a system, and that costs a lot of money. But the kids work too hard, you can't have a bad sound system, right? So we got a sound system, it's kind of an auxiliary system that will be upstairs where ours is now, and it will, it's a much better system. That's about $10,000 that we're spending on that. But it's ours. And it will use their speakers. It will flow, it will connect into there. So we're using all of their bells and whistles, but with our soundboard and our mics and all those kinds of things. So we kind of got a separate yet equal kind of thing going on that. So this, and you know what, I don't know when, but at some point I'm going to make an announcement when they're going to be next week. We're going to have one more week of pretty significant, change here while it's happening. But once we get it up and going, I want to have a day where we can just but maybe to do rewards assembly at the first trimester. If I can do it sooner, I'd love to just set it up. Maybe we do our next coffee with Mr. G. We'd be, and then you just see it, because I'm telling you, see it's. So we're really, really happy about that, and there's a partnership. So we spent $10,000 of money on that sound system, and that made sense that we do that. We needed it anyway, and that's the lobby. But the plaza, when the church decided to move over, they said, you know what, if we build that arbor, have you ever done something in your house, you realize you fix one thing and you realize, oh, now this has to go, that has to go, that has to go, right? And it's just a natural. What the board said was, wait a minute, before we put that plaza, that arbor, if that could define, it wouldn't make everything fit from there, piece into that. God just connected us with a group, former Disney architects, award-winning architects. They won awards for California Disney, the California Hotel, and various things. And they're Christian guys. They started their own business because they wanted to help they do a lot of corporations. They want to help churches and schools. And these guys, I believe, are the best in the world at what they do. And they came out, they spent a day with us, we gave them statistics, we gave them things, and they did kind of do this overview of us with a company that also is good, helps people with branding, church brand, school brand, and some of these things. And they came up with some things about the sanctuary that the church is incorporating, but they had an idea about the plaza that was what is unbelievable. And we're kind of vetting that right now. What's that going to look like? So we said, wait a second, that arbor is not even close to what it's going to be. So we realized we're going to take a little more time, it's going to take a lot more money. And of course the church is all in on that as well. But we didn't have all the things figured out. So I said, that plaza, I don't think we got tree well yet, but we need to kind of put that on hold until we figure it out and we don't get something that we're kind of stuck with. So there are plans to do something very significant where that, Bella had designed an amazing lobby, but it really was designed for the school, and I think anybody would have been, we were all really excited about that. And it provided the inspiration from which we made some changes out here. At that point, it was no longer just, when the school was over, it was a blank canvas. We could paint it any way we wanted. But now with the church, we had to rethink things, also money, and they had to get over here this summer. So what we did is we incorporated some of the elements that Bella inspired. And they would be, we raised the ceiling, added those little can lights, and we know the lighting, so we're going to increase the wattage in there. Well, we did the tech wall, right, the counter, and then we raised the ceiling, and of course we had to fix the sprinklers, do lights, we had to paint all of that. We put the brick columns in, and those are the aspects that the school paid for. The church ripped out the carpeting and stained the concrete. We would love to put those tiles that look like wood, but they're really ceramic tiles that look like wood planks, but that was really expensive. The church didn't have the money for that, and we didn't. Because we still kept money for that sign out front, because sign was important to us. So if you look at that, you pull in this year, if you knew we were looking to build a new sign, you would say, that's the sign that they did? Well, it's just a new base on an old sign, and that's exactly what it is. Somebody, a company that makes plastics like that, made it for free for the church. And it's temporary. The sign out there, it said Foothill Christian Center. We've not been Foothill Christian Center for 7 years, right? But for 7 years, I didn't want to spend the money to change the sign. The church was over there. They didn't want to spend the money to spend the sign. That sign just sat there. That sign never said Foothill Christian School anywhere. It said Foothill Christian Center, preschool, and preschool underneath, right? So what we did is we just went with a temporary quick fix, and we're working with this company called Plain Joe Envisioneering on branding. And one of the things that was an idea that we are working with, you see some of the simpleness of that sign and the symmetry to it is, Foothill is kind of the brand. We're Foothill Church, we're Foothill Christian School, because it's hard to put Foothill Church and Foothill Christian School. It gets cluttered. So the symmetry and the simplisticness of that sign, we felt, at least for now, gives us I think a quick, easy reference sign. Foothill, and of course Foothill Church, and Foothill Church School. We think it works. Not everybody, like some people thought, well, you're getting the word Christian. What's going on here? Are you going the way of Harvard? What's up? And no, it's just a stylistic point of view. Now that's a change you may or may not like. We may not stick with it exactly right. That sign's not permanent. We're going to put on the other side of the entry a new sign. We want to make sure that sign's going to match where the whole plaza and the entryway is going. The church painted the entryway. We're going to landscape it in this week, I think. But they painted the entryway, and is that the right colors? I'm not so sure, but they actually have a wood slat thing that the visionary concept. But when we took the trees out, they were just blocking the entrance. And of course, the church put speakers on there. They just things, but that's for now. Okay, that's for now. But it's better than it was. But it's not what it will be. Okay, but then that's the church was paying for all of that. So I'm just trying to show you. So the money for the sign, we put aside, we're not sure how much it's going to be. This might say outside seem high to you, but I think it's going to be at least $15,000 to $20,000. So we put $20,000, the money we raised is still sitting in the bank account, drawing interest for the sign. So that money is still there. So we did the iPads, we did the lobby to the point where we thought we could. We bought new chairs for the computer lab upstairs, and you may say, well, those were really nice chairs. They looked really good. When you talk about change, right? We bought those in 1998, and they have a little hydraulic when we built the building. And they have a little hydraulics that didn't work on most of them, and it really not functional. They look kind of impressive. But we got new ones up there that were functional, and so, because we did feel like we had, while we couldn't do all the projects we thought we would do, and we saved some money for some, we said, well, we do have some money, let's go ahead and put some places where we have need. Now, we did other things. We put carpet in classrooms, a few new classrooms. Every year we do a few more carpets. That's not in our fundraising bill. That's in our operation bill. So we're always, we got that interplay of what should be covered by our maintenance budget, and contract labor, our operations, and what should we raise money for. So those are some of the key things. The box tops, by the way, we took the TVs out of the classrooms because they're really not needed anymore when you have Interite boards and they can video stream everything. But then we realized that, yeah, but the TVs were being used as speakers, which is not very good speakers, and then some of the projection units has speakers in them. But we're going through class by class, and we're kind of customizing what are their speaker needs to work with the Interite boards and their computer projections. I think Mr. McLeod has kind of put a bid in for like a surround sound up there, and but the box tops is paying for all of that. Okay, so we have about $4,000 in box tops. So keep those coming because that's just free money. And then all that's costing about $3,000 out of the $4,000, and we gave the other $1,000 to the library because some of those videos now don't work because we don't have the TVs. So we had to upgrade to some DVD versions of those. Plus, then she also had some books that teachers wanted, and so we just gave it to the library. So the box tops was used for that, and so we kind of get a feel for some of those things. So, any questions so far on some of this? So this year, as we're raising money, we know we got the signs coming. The security initiative, we put a gate in, okay? And basically one donation paid for that. So I think we can really get so much out of all of our group efforts. And there's some money from that one donation that's still left over. We still have plans. We didn't feel we could just disrupt all of change all of the projects and order the projects. We didn't think we should take from sign to security. So we're also going to raise money this year. So we do have plans to install gates across the building, across the junior high patio. We're going to put locks on the doors so teachers can just push a button and lock the doors from the inside and pull down shades. That's our security initiatives that we talked about last year, and we're going to be implementing those this year. So as we raise money, our computer lab looks pretty good. We'll probably get another year out of it, but the ones in the classrooms aren't holding up. So we may, the idea would be is we have to, either this year or next, we've got to take those computers in the lab, put them in the classrooms, and then have the new ones in the lab so we can stay current and relevant there. This room, one of our goals was to carpet this room. And so we would like to do that sometime with our fundraiser this year. Another thing that's not fun, no sex appeal to this, but our air conditioning units in that other building are just outdated. The building is poorly designed from the beginning. The building is divided, it's obviously a long building, divided in 3 sections. Okay, and but the north side's needs are different than the south side. When that sun is bearing down on the south side of that building, those rooms are saying, it's getting hot, we need air conditioning. But on the north side in the shade, you're saying, it's still a little cool in here. So what happens is, one side's calling for air, and the other side says, I need heat. And so we spend money, and that system spends money in inefficiency by cooling down air to help one side, and then turn around and heating the air just cool to get the other side. And so we've had this all along, and teachers will tell you, the hardest thing, when it's real hot, it's not a problem. When it's real cold, it's not a problem. But California tends to be cool in the morning, hot in the afternoon. And with those things, which is most of our seasons, and so it's fighting against itself. Plus, we're spending thousands of dollars every year, I believe, unnecessarily. Well, we have to do it, but we're spending money on repairs, update, because it's just an old system. Now, and when we put the new ones in, like I said, this isn't a bunch like put a roof on your house. You got to do it, but it's a lot of money. We're going to split it. We're going to go 3 sections. We're going to go north and south. So it'll be a smaller unit with enough capacity. And the one will handle the south side on the far third, and the north side, second. And then we thought every year we would just do at least one a year. And I don't have a price tag on it yet. I know that the systems, we have to put cranes and put it in. We got to reroute some of the dumping where they go to the rooms, where they come together. We'll have to at that point juncture off it so it's needed. So that's something we've got to do, because I'll tell you, we're spending tens of thousands of dollars on air conditioning repairs. And so that's just throwing good money after bad. And so those are some of the things we need to do. And our bus, these are like, they're not fun. The state has changed the emissions law, and so our bus, which in bus years ago, we had really hardly any mileage. By the way, we hired a new bus driver, so we'll be able to use her more often, because sometimes we were stuck with the driver we had, and we couldn't ride for the bus. And that added at least $5 per pupil to the cost of the trip. Having our own bus driver was usually just about $1.50 or $2 additional fee to it. But so that's going to be nice. But the retrofit for the emissions thing for our bus is a $20,000 price tag. Now we can get a new bus, but that's $75,000 minimum. But our bus only has like 80,000 miles on it. In bus years, that's like plane years, there's nothing. So we need to do that retrofit. We were thinking about maybe the box tops can help us with that next year, and we can just kind of pull money from here and there. We're looking to see if we can get a grant for it. Supposedly the state has money out there for some of those situations. Not sure if it's available to us in private school, but that's so we got things, and we got constantly looking for ways to improve and upgrade. And as you have ideas about how our street can be better, throw it out. Let's get into the mix. But security's a big one. We still got some campus improvements that are still on, some of them been on hold, and we'll do those going forward. Right now, we have, it's kind of cool that when you buy a set of textbooks, you usually get an online version. So what we've been doing is we buy a textbook for the class, like history and Spanish, we buy a textbook for the class, and a tablet version of the book. Now, tablet versions are a little different than just an online version. Yeah, you can get the online version on your tablet, but it isn't always, the software doesn't always align between computer and tablets. So, but that's been our process, so that we have a classroom set, an iPad set in those 2 rooms, and then also the online at home. Our teachers are using those iPads often, regularly, and it's becoming part of the. Now, our goal is that, and we're not sure this should happen next year, but probably the next, if not. And that is the question we're asking is we see our junior high moving to everyone having an iPad. Those 2 sets that we have are still effective. They would bump down to 5th grade. And those teachers would use those, because we have 2 5th grade classes which kind of share. They would use it, well, as much as they want, but they would at least start getting the kids used to it, and then they start using it. But upstairs it would be required. But we don't want to do change for change's sake, just because it's kind of cool. If we're not using it as thoroughly as it could be used, and it becomes just a cool thing to do, and not an effective teaching tool, we'll wait. So that might happen next year, and if we do, we don't know what that will look like. Do we say to all the families, you buy the iPad, and we buy it for you, we kind of lease it, you pay us for it in a lease kind of a thing, and then you take it with you when you go. We don't have that worked out yet, and we're open to ideas. The awning or the portico there at the office, okay, and so that during the drop off and pick up, it stays open. By the way, there's no foolproof 100% guarantee on anything, but we're just trying to do what we can. So that at 8:30 that locks. And what we're noticing, a lot more people are coming through the office now who were helping with reading groups. We didn't know they were on campus. And that's important that we know everybody's on campus, or a couple, one for safety, if it's a stranger or whatever. But also, if you were on campus and we didn't know it, Julie, if there was an earthquake or some sort of disaster, Julie or Lori at the front desk, part of their responsibility is to grab the sign-in book and go outside, and then we account for everybody who signed in. Now, the teachers have ways to tell the kids, but this is what we account for in. 8:30 it locks, about 2 o'clock or so, half hour before pickup, they unlock it because now it's we want to put one gate across the buildings so that someone just can't walk into that side junior high. Right? They got to come to the office. But there's also a fire entrance, so we've got to have a gate that opens so that the fire trucks can get back there and maintenance trucks can get back there. And then so that's going to happen. It will have a pedestrian gate in it, but again, people can't just walk through between those buildings. Could they hop the fence? They can hop those fences, you know. And here again, but that shows bad intention. But someone sees that and alerts us that this is stranger danger, and we're on top of it. The other area that we feel we have too open of a campus and exposure is at the junior high patio, the fourth through 8th grade. They eat out there inside the gym, and the cars drive right by there. Someone can just drive right by. If you have a fence there, they say, we're going to shoot through the fence. And God forbid, these horrific thoughts. But nonetheless, they can't just walk in and have access to the kids. So, and then also to the back, instead of through cones or bars, we'll have a gate there, which will open the same thing. They open during drop-off and pick-up, close during school hours. So that's the gate concept. And then in the classrooms, when I said lock, when we found out last year as we were evaluating our safety, the teacher said that in order to lock their doors for a lockdown, they have to go out of the classroom with their key and lock the door from out in the hallway. So we're going to, these locks, I don't know if you commercial lock, these are not cheap, they're like $350 each. So what we'll do is replace those with where the teacher can just push the button from the inside and it locks so you can't get in. Now, if they can open the hand, push the hand, maybe child can push the hand to go out. So not locked in, but they don't have to go outside the door to lock it. So they get a quicker lock, and we're going to put shade beside every window, or beside every door is a window. Well, you can lock the door, but the guy can see you all huddled over in the corner, whatever. So if they lock the door, pull down that shade, an intruder with a gun or whatever, the door's locked, he can't see people over the next door. Maybe, after about 2 or 3 doors, he was, we gonna shoot his way in, I don't know. But we've slowed him down. And talking with the police department and their experts, they said that's a key. Slow them down, deter them, anything in time equals lives. And so, like I said, nothing's foolproof, but we feel that we can't just sit back and not do anything. Because it's been nice, it's nice campus to have open. But we feel these changes are part of the new reality. But we don't think they're going to really take away from our family feel. But we'll provide a level, not a 100% guaranteed level of security.